Good day. This is Catholic Saints Audio. I'm your Amateur Hagiographer, and this is going to be a reading from the Lives of the Saints by Sabine Baring Gould. It's about Blessed Altmann, the Bishop of Passau. Altmann, a native of Paderborn in Westphalia, was made canon of Aix-la-Chapelle and chaplain to Emperor Henry III. In 1064, he made a pilgrimage to Jerusalem under Gunther, Bishop of Bamberg, the archbishops of Mainz and Cologne, the bishops of Speyer and Utrecht. The caravan was composed of 7,000 Christians. It set out from the banks of the Rhine, crossed Germany, Hungary, Bulgaria, and Thrace, and was welcomed at Constantinople by the Emperor Constantine Ducas. After having visited the churches of Byzantium and the numerous relics which were objects of veneration to the Greeks, the pilgrims of the West traversed Asia Minor and Syria without danger. But when they approached Jerusalem, the sight of their riches aroused the cupidity of the Bedouins, undisciplined hordes who had neither country nor settled abode and who had rendered themselves formidable in the civil wars of the East. The Arabs attacked the pilgrims and compelled them to sustain a siege in an abandoned village on a Good Friday. On a sacred day, the pilgrims, even who had arms, employed them with hesitation and scruple. Enclosed within the ruins of an old castle, they resisted for a time, but on the third day, the famine compelled them to capitulate. When they came to the arrangement of the conditions of peace, there arose a violent quarrel, which was near leading to the massacre of the Christians by the Arabs. The Emir of Ramallah, informed by some fugitives, came happily to the rescue and delivered the Christians from the death with which they were threatened and permitted them to continue their journey. As the report of their combats and perils had preceded them, their arrival created a great sensation in Jerusalem. There they were received in triumph by the Patriarch and conducted to the sound of timbrels and by the light of torches to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. During their abode in Jerusalem, the misery into which they had fallen excited the pity of the local Christians. After having lost more than 3,000 of their companions, the remainder returned to Europe to relate their tragical adventures and the danger of a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. In 1065, there died Engelbert, Bishop of Passau, and Agnes, the Queen Mother and Regent, on the advice of some of the electors and nobles, nominated Altmann to the vacant see of Passau. He was consecrated by Gebhard, Archbishop of Salzburg. The great contest against the marriage of the clergy, which occupied Hildebrand and convulsed Germany and all of Europe during his reign, was now beginning. Altmann threw himself enthusiastically into the party opposed to clerical marriage. He found nearly all the clergy of his diocese openly, unblushingly living with their wives, and it was the same throughout Germany. Bishop Altmann, on the reception of the letters from Pope Gregory VII forbidding clerical marriage, assembled the clergy and people on St. Stephen's Day in 1074 in the Cathedral of Passau and read the decree of the Pope. The result was a riot. With one consent, priests and people rose in indignation, and the bishop would have been torn to pieces by them had he not been able, with the aid of his servants, to escape to a place of security. The clergy of Passau appealed to the emperor against their bishop, and Henry advanced at the head of his troops to expel Altmann from the diocese. The only clerks who adhered to Altmann were the Augustinian canons of St. Nicholas, whom Altmann had introduced into Passau. As soon as the emperor was gone, these zealous brethren provided themselves with holy water and brooms and began to scour out all the places he had polluted with his presence. Thereupon, the canons were seized by the local civil magistrates, publicly beaten, and turned out of their house. Altmann took refuge with Pope Gregory and attended him for some years. The Council of Worms assembled in 1076 and deposed Pope Gregory. Herman, Duke of Carinthia, was appointed bishop in the place of Altmann, and on his death in 1087, Thiemo, Dean of Würzburg, was advanced to the bishopric and governed the western portion of the diocese. Altmann, however, maintained himself in the eastern portion, fixing his residence in the fortress of Gottwitz. Before the days of Altmann, says his earliest biographer, almost all the churches in his diocese were of wood, and for that matter, so were the priests, if I may say so, for they were devoted to their wives and their worldly goods. But now Altmann succeeded in rearing churches of stone and providing them with priests, not of wood, who had no wives and were supposed to be indifferent to the world's goods, concentrating on their vocation, their churches, their parishioners. Altmann died on the 8th of August, 1091, and was buried at Gottwitz, where his tomb is still shown. For more about Blessed Altmann and the rest of your extended family in heaven, come see us at CatholicSaints.Info and CatholicSaints.Mobi. Thanks for listening.